Well, it was, oddly enough, it was almost theatrical because it was so predictable. You felt when you heard the government yesterday say the police will use live fire if you come near police stations. You knew they would, and the crowd was so big. I think it may have been 30, 40,000. It wasn't a million, as some people are claiming. Yeah. Of course, they swarmed around the square. They came up close to the Ramses Street police station, and the cops on the roof, who were quite visible to us. I saw one man. It was interesting to actually see the face of the killer, if you like, a moustache, frightened face, waving a gun, shouting obscenities, and then started shooting. And the policeman to his left, who had an automatic weapon, had a hood on, very chilling sort of, appearance suddenly, and he started shooting, as did some other cops. And I moved further up the road with my driver, who of course is an Egyptian. And at one point, a bullet went right between him and me with a whizz and then went off into the crowds. And he actually started running away. I don't blame him. I had to jump into his car while it was moving, actually. But again, I don't blame him for that. He was frightened. And then we had to go right round the whole of Cairo, past the City of the Dead and the Citadel, to get to the other side of Ramses Square. And there was a lot of shooting. Police were shooting from armoured vehicles through rather odd little steel turrets placed on top. And there was a lot of tear gas. And then an Egyptian journalist, friend of mine, came up to me and said, Al Jazeera, here you go, says there are 26 dead in the mosque. This is in the Fatah mosque opposite the square. And we went down a back street past these rather gloomy, deserted factories with the sound of cracking of rifle, and then had to run for a bit through tear gas because a lot of shots were crossing the road. But we got to the mosque. There was blood sticking to our shoes as we went up the pink marble steps. Got inside. There was about an acre of mosque in which there were just wounded, moaning and crying, and paramedics trying to save them. And at the corner of the mosque beyond, to the left, there were lined up on the floor 25, not 26, there may have been 26 now, bodies in white shrouds. The doctor showed me some of the faces which had been completely blown away. He said there were exploding bullets used. I can't prove that, but certainly the faces, some of them were quite unrecognizable. And it was, you could see the sort of panic of the place, in that so frightened were the people bringing the bodies in that they would be unidentified, that they'd crayoned onto their naked chests the names and addresses of the dead insofar as they could get them. There was one man covered in dribbling blood onto the carpets who was brought in just as I was about to leave and had counted the corpses, and he was still alive, and you could see his face just taking in the blurring faces of the doctors and what may well have been his last journey in life. And one was very struck that just 2.5 years ago there was a revolution here in this country for justice, dignity and freedom, but we perhaps have to forget the democracy bit now. These were civilians, Egyptians, being shot down by their own police force, whom they are enjoined to call the security forces, Robert, not for their security. It was pretty terrible.
Muslim Brotherhood statement just come through on my screen here, quite a bit in it, but one of the lines it says is, what's happening now indicates that the coup leaders, as they call them, lost their minds, are stripped of all values, feelings and ethics. The coup failed and it has to confess that. I mean, it may well say that, but this does not look like an interim government or a military that would ever think about admitting that sort of thing.
No, I think you're quite right, and the Muslim Brotherhood is ridiculous. But of course, they've been making statements like this for a long time. Look, the Brotherhood had to have some martyrs today. I'm sorry to sound so cynical. I think they needed martyrs and were quite prepared to accept them. I'm putting martyrs in quotation marks for two reasons. One, because people would think if nothing happened today and it just fizzled out with nothing, oh, the Brotherhood, there's just some stupid demonstration, they're finished. The other point, which is much more interesting, and I say this with some cynicism, is that the Salafist party, the Noor party, which has with equal cynicism joined the military government, the military-led, military-chosen government, that's waiting as the true right hand of Islam in the interim government, perhaps, if the Brotherhood failed. So the Noor party would not have wanted to see the Brotherhood suffer death today, and the Brotherhood, in order to keep pace with the Noor party that's waiting to take their Islamist power, they needed those martyrs. I'm sorry to sound so cynical, but when you see it with your own eyes, you have to come to judgments like this.